Hi there! Today I'm going to show you how to use SeeSaw.
Check the description box below for timestamps.
To get started, we'll click Login. We're going to choose I'm a teacher. We're going to click Teacher Sign In with Google.
Changes this school year. All K-8 homeroom, core, and resource teachers will have their classroom information automatically synced from PowerSchool to ensure that students are assigned to the correct school and class right away. And rosters for these classes will automatically update the day after students are added to PowerSchool. This will save you and your students lots of time, and your SeeSaw class will be created for you.
If you want to change the default name of your class, you would go to the wrench here, go to class name, choose a new name. This is optional, but if you want your class to appear first for your students, meaning when the classes are alphabetized, yours will be at the very top, you can always put a number or a special character like that. I'm going to hit the back arrow and exit. Now you'll see the class name is updated.
For specialist teachers and any classes that aren't in PowerSchool, you will create a class manually.
You can go in the corner here to your profile, click Create a New Class. You would create a new class and you would fill out these different fields and then hit the check. And now your new class is created. You would simply go to the wrench, manage students, and you can add students from here if they're already enrolled in your school.
We've set things up, so now every student is enrolled in the correct school and that information is up to date. So you can easily type their name, click Add to Class, and you would add this student, and now they'll be part of your class. No need for the student to manually create an account. You can just search for them this way.
If we click the wrench in the corner, we can look at some class settings. First one is going to be teachers. If we wanted to add a co-teacher, this is where we'd go to type their email address and invite them to join. If you want to customize the look of your class, you can change the theme here and choose a different color. You can also go to class icon and choose a photo or upload one. Make sure the student sign-in mode is always set to email/SSO. This is to ensure that students can properly sign in. If we scroll down a bit to student like and comments, you can choose if you want to turn this on for your class. It could be a great way to encourage positive digital citizenship and have students be able to comment and like each other's work. If you feel more comfortable starting off the school year with these turned off, you can certainly do that too and always change your mind later. Right below that, you can also enable this button so students can see each other's work or just their own. If you confirm this change, it will sign students out of their device, so they'll just have to log in again. We're going to talk more about family access in a bit, but if you want to enable this or turn it off, you have that choice. This would allow parents to connect and see their students' work when they connect to your class. Once you approve an assignment, it'll appear in what's called the journal, and families would be able to see it if this is turned on. If you ever need to recover a class that was previously archived from last school year or older, you can go to your profile, the gear, click Account Settings, if you scroll to the bottom, you can manage archived classes and restore it from here. Students will also sign in with their CCSD21 Google account, and they'll be enrolled in your class right away. This is what it looks like when a student signs in.
If they start in the wrong class, they may have to click their profile picture, which will allow them to switch to a different class. This is a post in the student's journal. That means that the student has completed an activity and their response was approved by the teacher. It now shows up for the student, anyone else tagged, and the parents. We have the Journal tab, where students can find any posts that have already been approved by their teacher. We have Activities, and you'll want to direct students here when you assign something new to them. And we have Notifications, where students can find the newest assignments that have been approved, as well as anything they've been tagged in. When students want to create a new journal post, they'll click the green plus and decide between these different options. Photo allows the students to take a picture of themselves, and they can use this icon to switch to the Move tool, and they can click the 3 dots to unlock and adjust the photo. If they choose the Drawing tool, they'll have access to the different options here where they can still add a photo or a video. They can add shapes, different backgrounds like this. They could add text. They also have access to the drawing tools by clicking on the markers below, changing the color on the side, and drawing like this. They can use the eraser tool to get rid of their drawing. If they click twice on one of the pens, they can also adjust the thickness as well. The microphone button lets students record themselves speaking and also record their screen. So if I click it here, wait for the countdown to stop, I can draw, and then when I stop like this and hit done, you'll see now this first page turned into a video, and I can play it back. So this could be a cool way for students to demonstrate solving an equation or working out their thinking in real time. Students can also record their voice without recording their screen by going to the 3 dots, choosing voice, choosing to either record their voice or upload audio. Test, test, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3, and I click done. And now when I click this, it'll play my voice. We can choose video as an option. Video is similar to photo, where you record yourself, hit the check, and then you'll get a video loaded onto the canvas like this. Once again, I can click the 3 dots, unlock, and then I can adjust the video size and move it around. Upload is going to allow you to upload an image, a PDF, or any file that's up to 250 megabytes. So the student can pull from their files or their Google Drive. Once they've loaded the file, they hit the green check. This in particular would be really great if the student creates something on another website, such as Canva or Adobe Express. They can download it, and then they could upload it to this canvas, as long as the file size is small enough. And then they would hit the check. Typing a note is pretty self-explanatory. This is just a real quick message to their teacher or other classmates. They type their message, they click the check, and this is what it would look like when they submit it. Finally, we have a link. Link would also be great if a student creates something on another website, such as Canva or Adobe Express. They could have a link to their project and paste it into here. Or alternatively, they could just link to an article they found online or some other resource for their project. So they would type whatever the link is here, click the check, and then they'd click the 3 dots to unlock it if they need to adjust the size or move it around. And then they would click the check. If you or your students click on someone's link, the key is to hover over the chain link right here. This icon will allow them to click and actually go to the link. Just like that. Students can always save a draft right here and come back to the work the next day. When students respond to your assignments, you'll approve them and they will be added to the student's journal. Families can see their student's journal if they connect on SeeSaw. To connect families, you'll go down here to the Families button. You have a few ways that you can add them. The first is by typing their email or phone number here. And you can also hit the plus to add more than one family member for a student. You can choose to print invites. This might be nice if you're going to have open house or a parent night or parent-teacher conferences, or even if you want to just send this home with the student. You'll choose the desired language. You'll print invites. The first page has teacher instructions and FAQs. The second page actually has a QR code that the family can use, or they can go to the link. There's also directions if they've already used SeeSaw in the past, how to add a child to their account. If you click Share an Invite link, this could even be the easiest way. You would just copy this link, clicking here. You could put this link in an email to parents. Everybody would just click that same link, and then they would choose their student's name and add the student. Up here on the Messages button, this is where you can have a new message to parents. You can even create a new announcement and make sure it goes to both families and students if you choose. However, in our district, we primarily use Parent Square to communicate to parents. You may be wondering how to create an assignment. Here on SeeSaw, assignments are called activities. You can either go to this tab for activities and browse the resource library, or if you click the plus, you can also choose to assign activity. Right away, I end up in my library. These are previous activities that I have saved in the past. All I would do is click on one. I can click the thumbnail picture to preview it. In this case, it leads me to this link. I can click Assign, and then I would choose the classes. I can even get as granular as choosing individual students. I can choose a start date, a due date. I could assign a standard and organize it into a folder if I wanted to, and I would click Assign Now. However, if you're just starting with SeeSaw, you don't have anything saved yet, so we may want to start with the community library first. This is a library where teachers all around the globe have submitted activities, and you can borrow their activities and make copies of them to customize for your own class. So I would start here where you pick the specific grade you want. You can also filter by subjects. Even if there's a particular theme or keyword you have in mind, you can search for it here. So the first option here is actually coming from the SeeSaw library, which we'll get to in just a bit. The community library has all sorts of posts here. I just click one. Again, I can click this button to preview and go through each page to make sure this is something I would want to use. If I click back, then I can assign to my class right here. I can also use this button to favorite the activity, and I could even add it to a collection if I wanted to. If I wanted to share this activity with another teacher, I can click the 3 dots and I can click share activity with teachers. A common misconception is that people will try to copy the link that's at the top of their browser and share that out. And unfortunately, that doesn't work. You always have to do it this way. So I'm going to share activity with teachers. I'm going to copy the teacher activity link right here. And then that way, when I send this to someone, it'll look like this for them, and they can also save the activity. If I go to the school and district library, these are activities that teachers from my specific district and school have created and shared out. This works the same way. I would just click. I can preview the activity and I can assign it to my own class. If you want to show students an example and model something before having them get into it, you could also present to class. And this is a way for me to sort of explain things to them. If I want to use this activity but make my own changes to it, I can click the 3 dots and I can copy and edit activity. And this will not change the original. It'll just force a copy so I can make my own changes and assign my custom version to my class. If we go to the SeeSaw library, these are collections of activities that SeeSaw created. So one that might be very helpful if you have younger students, you may want to use this Getting Started with SeeSaw collection. This will just teach kids the very basics about how to even use the drawing tools and get used to the different features. So I can scroll through here, and if I want my students to use just this first one, I click. You can assign one or all of the activities. When you eventually assign an activity to students, it'll look like this. They'll go to the light bulb and they'll pick the activity that you assigned. For them, there'll be a button where they can add the response. For you, you can click Present to Class, and this is what they'll see. If I scheduled an activity for a future date, I would go to this button. This is a calendar. And I can then go through the days and look to see what's ahead. Maybe if I have a sub tomorrow, I scheduled an activity. If I want to create my own activity from scratch, I can do that by going to the plus, create activity or assessment. Now I'll give it a name, and I have a couple options for the template I can use. We'll try Creative Canvas first to see what that's like. So here I can add whatever I want. I could add a link, I could add a drawing. For example, maybe I want students to sort shapes. So I'm going to start with a background first, just to make it look a little more exciting. I'll click the 3 dots and I'll add shapes here. So we'll choose a couple different ones. I just click and drag them. Now, in my mind, I want students to be able to drag these shapes, but I don't want them to accidentally resize them. So I can click the 3 dots and I can use lock and lock size. So that way the student can still move it, but they're not going to accidentally enlarge it or make it too small. This can especially be tricky since we have touch screens. It's very easy to accidentally resize them, so this way the kids are all good. I can use the 3 dots and shapes again. Maybe the students have to put some kind of shape in here. If I use the T for text, so I type what I want and I can click drag. If I need to resize the text, I use the circles in the corners like this. I can drag it out to make it all on one line. If I don't like this frame around it, I can click the 3 dots, go to style, and I can choose this one to remove it. I can also change the font here like that. I'm going to lock the size for all of these real quick. Something else that might be really cool in a different activity, if I wanted students to have an infinite amount of these shapes, so they could keep dragging a whole bunch of these, maybe I tell them instead, drag 5 stars into the box. I can use the 3 dots, and I can use infinite clone. And that's a cool way for the kids to just create all sorts of shapes without them actually having to do the work of going to this dot, the shape, and pulling it from here. I can use the undo button, and your students can too, at the top here to undo their mistakes. If I wanted to, I can click this button to add a new page and then create some other activity for them. When I'm all done, I click the check here. You can add instructions for your students here by either typing them out and/or recording your voice right here. You can add your own example by clicking this button. So if I tell the students to draw something, maybe I create my own drawing here as an example. So that way the students have an idea of what I'm looking for. You can also add teacher notes, especially if you're thinking about sharing this activity out with other teammates. You can have some side notes so the teachers are aware of how the students should complete the activity. If you want to add standards, you would go here. You would select and then save the tag. Now I'm going to click save. And just like we saw before, I can assign this to my class. I can present a class, and I have all those options. We're going to come back to assessments in just a bit, but I also wanted to point out that you have the ability to upload a resource. So if you had a slideshow or a worksheet in the form of a PDF, you can actually upload it directly here, and the students can annotate right on top of it. You could have a link. You could also add a note like we saw before. When you're creating an activity, there's an option right here called questions. I can choose from the type that I want here. They've got a lot of options. And then you can choose the response type. Stick with practice mode so students can check their work as they go, and they get a little feedback response. So you type the question here. You can also use their AI to find questions. So I could also go with one of these. If I'm making my own, I type the responses here, or I can upload an image and students have to pick the correct image. And I click add. You can resize things and move them around. The idea is that students drag the answers, and if they click check work, they'll find out if that was correct or not. The multiple choice question we saw before was in practice mode, where students got feedback right away. If you want students to fill out questions and then see answers after they submit, you would want to go with assessment. And here in feedback mode, you would make sure it's under assessment mode, so students see their results after post-approval.
All the features I'm about to talk about are located in this checkmark button.
We already saw multiple choice. In this case, we would pick the answer, and then when students submit, they would get the correct answer after the fact. With all of these different activities in an assessment, they would get feedback after submitting rather than immediate feedback right away like they would for practice. We have true or false. We have poll. We have a short answer. We have open-ended. We have reading fluency, where students record their voice. This is a test recording. And then outside of the assessment options, you can also use these 3 dots when you're creating an activity, and you'll get the choice of using frames. So rather than a student having to manually go to the T, find the text box, and create text from scratch, they can just click this frame that you already inputted, and they can start typing right away. Same goes for the photo frame.
These are called flex cards.
So this is a collection of cards that are either text or images, and students simply click, and they'll get the different slides as they go through. Read with me is a cool one. You would type out all of the sentences you're going to say and record yourself speaking. And SeeSaw uses AI to match the transcript with your voice, so that way when a student listens, they'll have each word highlighted as you read. Here's an example. Follow along with these sentences. Once upon a time, there was a dog named Spot. When a student responds to an activity, you'll get a red bar at the bottom of your screen here, or you can go to the notifications and you'll click. You can look through the student's work. You can send it back if they need to add something, and then they'll simply hit the green check on their side to submit it again for approval. You can delete it if it's something inappropriate, or you can click this button to approve it. And once you approve it, then it's added to the journal where parents can see it from their side and the students can see it from their side too. So I click approve. So now this was added to the student's journal. If I click this button, this will actually highlight the activity. Highlighting an activity adds it to a special folder. So next to class journal, if I click the folder button, I get a pop-up like this. I can click highlights, and this is where those highlighted posts are featured.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next video.